The lanterns come on at dusk in Hoi An, and suddenly you're standing in a scene that doesn't feel real. Hundreds of silk globes glowing amber and rose above the Thubong River, their reflections rippling across the water. A bowl of cow lao, the noodles you can only get in this town, costs about $2. The tailor who will make you a custom suit by tomorrow afternoon charges $60. And this is just the first stop on Vietnam's central coast, a 300-kilometre stretch where ancient capitals meet empty beaches, and where your daily budget wouldn't cover a single meal in most of Asia's famous destinations. Over the next 12 days, you'll move from the lantern-lit streets of Hoi An to the Imperial tombs of Hue, crossing one of the world's great coastal roads along the way. First stop, the ancient town itself. Hoi An Old Quarter is a UNESCO site, and it earns it. The yellow wall shophouses date back 4 centuries, when this was one of Southeast Asia's busiest trading ports. Japanese, Chinese, and Portuguese merchants all left their mark. The best way to experience it is on foot, early. By 7 in the morning, the streets belong to locals. Women in conical hats carrying baskets of produce, old men drinking café sua dai in doorways, monks in saffron robes walking to the assembly halls. The tour groups don't materialize until 9. The Japanese covered bridge is the postcard shot, but the real pleasure is getting lost in the lanes behind it. Pick up a walking ticket, about $5, which gets you into 5 heritage sites of your choice: assembly halls, old houses, museums. The Tan Key House, with its blend of Chinese, Japanese and Vietnamese architecture, is worth one of those entries. The Fujian Assembly Hall, with its elaborate wood carvings and incense coils hanging from the ceiling, is worth another. But Hoi An's other reputation is tailoring, and it's not exaggerated. There are hundreds of shops here, and the good ones can turn around a bespoke suit, jacket, trousers, lining, the works, in 48 hours for between $80 and $150, depending on fabric. The key is bringing photos of exactly what you want, being specific about fit, and building in time for alterations. Yaley Couture and Bei Bei are both reliable for suits, Kimi for leather goods. 10 minutes east by bicycle, the coast opens up. Kua Dai Beach was Hoi An's original beach strip, but erosion has shifted the crowds north to An Bang, which is the better choice anyway. A wide stretch of sand lined with beach clubs and family-run restaurants. The vibe is easy. Rent a lounger for a few dollars, order grilled squid and a cold beer, and let the afternoon dissolve. If you want something quieter still, keep going to Hidden Beach, which isn't hidden so much as slightly inconvenient. A short walk north from An Bang, past the beach clubs, where the sand empties out and you can swim without an audience. 40 kilometres inland from Hoi An, the jungle swallowed something extraordinary and held it for centuries. My Son Sanctuary was the spiritual heart of the Champa Kingdom, a Hindu civilization that controlled this coast for 1,000 years before the Vietnamese pushed south. The temples here date from the 4th to 14th centuries. Think of it as Vietnam's answer to Angkor, though smaller and more intimate. The American bombing during the war destroyed many of the structures, but what remains is haunting. Red brick towers rising from the forest floor, their surfaces carved with dancing apsaras and elephant-headed Ganesh. Go early. The site opens at 6:30 and you'll have the ruins to yourself before the heat and the buses arrive. A taxi from Hoi An runs about $15 each way, or you can join a half-day tour for around $10. Back toward the coast, the Marble Mountains rise abruptly from the flat land south of Da Nang. 5 limestone peaks named for the elements, riddled with caves and crowned with pagodas. Most visitors head to Thuy San, the largest, and the climb is worth the sweat. The Huen Kong Cave is the centerpiece, a natural cathedral where shafts of light pierce through holes in the ceiling and illuminate a Buddhist shrine below. There's an elevator now if the stairs defeat you, $2 up, $1 down, but the stone path is part of the experience.
The whole visit takes 2 to 3 hours, and the sculpture villages at the base, where artisans have carved Buddha statues from local marble for generations, are worth a wander on the way out. Da Nang itself has transformed from a sleepy port to a genuine city, with high rises along the beach and a nightlife scene that didn't exist a decade ago.
The beach here, Mi Cay, stretches for 30 kilometres and hosted R&R trips for American soldiers during the war. These days, it's all resort hotels and surf schools. The water stays warm through the year, and the ways, while modest, are learnable. Board rental runs about $5 an hour, but the best thing to do in Da Nang happens on weekend nights. The Dragon Bridge breathes fire. At 9 on Saturdays and Sundays, the giant steel dragon spanning the Han River shoots flames and water from its mouth while crowds pack the riverbank to watch. It's gloriously weird and entirely sincere, and the street food vendors set up along Bac Dang Street make it a destination even on off nights. Try the Bang Trang Kuan Tit Hill, rice paper rolls stuffed with pork and herbs that you wrap yourself. North of Da Nang, the road tilts upward and becomes something else entirely. The Hai Van Pass, the Ocean Clouds Pass, is 20 kilometres of switchbacks along a mountainside that drops straight into the South China Sea. This was the border between the Champa and Dai Viet kingdoms, and you can understand why. The terrain is a natural fortress. Top Gear called it one of the best coast roads in the world, and for once, the hype undersells it. The views from the top, where an old French bunker sits beside a Vietnamese army post, stretch north and south along the coast until the land dissolves into haze. Rent a motorbike in Da Nang, about $10 for the day, and take your time. The descent into Lang Co with a lagoon glittering below is the reward. Lang Co is the town that time forgot, at least for now. A narrow peninsula between the lagoon and the sea, it's all fishing boats and seafood shacks and a beach that remains genuinely quiet. The luxury resorts are starting to creep in, but the town itself hasn't caught up. Lunch here, grilled fish, morning glory sautéed with garlic, cold beer, costs almost nothing and tastes like the sea. If you're driving, it's the natural place to stop. If you have time to linger, the lagoon at sunset, when the fishing nets rise from the water and the light goes gold, is one of the quieter, beautiful things along this coast. An hour north, Hoi An announces itself differently. This was the imperial capital of unified Vietnam from 1802 to 1945, and the scale of what the Nguyen emperors built still impresses. The imperial city, a walled citadel within a walled citadel, spreads across nearly 4 square kilometres on the north bank of the Perfume River. The Meridian Gate, the Tai Hua Palace, the forbidden Purple City, where only the emperor and his concubines could enter, they were heavily damaged during the Tet Offensive, but restoration has been ongoing for decades, and what's there now is substantial. Budget 2 to 3 hours. Bring water and either go early morning or late afternoon when the heat relents. Entry is about $8. The Perfume River earns its name from the flowers that fall into it upstream, or so the legend goes. A boat trip along it, dragon boats painted bright colours, is the classic Hue experience and the easiest way to reach Tien Mu Pagoda, the 7-story tower that's become the city's symbol. The pagoda sits on a hill above the river, and the view back toward the city is worth the visit alone. The Austin car in the main hall is unexpected. It's the one that carried the monk Thich Quang Duc to Saigon in 1963, where he set himself on fire to protest the persecution of Buddhists. The photograph of that moment changed the war. Here, the car sits quietly, a relic of a different kind of devotion. Scattered through the hills south of Hue, the royal tombs of the Nguyen emperors are as individual as the rulers they memorialize. Tu Duc's tomb is the most romantic. He designed it himself as a retreat while still alive, with pavilions, lotus ponds, and a pine forest where he wrote poetry.
Ming Mang's is the most imposing, a perfect symmetry of gates, courtyards and lakes aligned on a single axis. Kai Ding's is the strangest, a fusion of Vietnamese and European styles covered in ceramic and glass mosaics that looks like nothing else in the country. You could visit all 3 in a half day by motorbike, or choose 1 or 2 and give them the time they deserve. Each charges about $4 for entry. For something wilder, Bac Man National Park climbs from the coast to over 1,400 meters in just 16 kilometers, the fastest elevation gain in Vietnam. The French built hill stations here to escape the lowland heat, and the ruins of their villas still dot the summit. The forest is dense, the waterfalls are real, and the bird life includes species found nowhere else.
The Rhododendron Trail and the Five Lakes Cascade are the standout hikes, both manageable in a few hours. It's an hour from Hue by car and feels like a different climate zone because it is one. Bring layers. The temperature at the top can be 15 degrees cooler than the coast. Back in Hue, the food deserves attention. This was a royal capital, and the cuisine reflects it. Complex, refined, served in small portions meant to be eaten over many courses. Bon Bo Hue, the spicy beef noodle soup that's Hue's signature, is everywhere and rarely disappoints. But seek out Ban Bao, small steamed rice cakes topped with shrimp and crispy pork skin, or Nem Lui, grilled pork skewers wrapped in rice paper with herbs and peanut sauce. Han Restaurant, a family-run place near the Citadel, serves traditional royal cuisine at prices that would barely buy an appetizer in Europe. In the evening, the south bank of the Perfume River comes alive. The night market sets up along Lei Loi Street, and the cafes along the waterfront fill with students and tourists. Rent a bicycle, cross the bridge and ride along the river as the lights come on. Hugh doesn't rush. After the density of Ho Chi Minh City or the energy of Hanoi, that slowness feels deliberate, a city that remembers when it was the center of everything and seems comfortable being something quieter now. The central coast of Vietnam holds a full country's worth of experiences in a few 100 kilometers, a trading port where the lanterns still float on the river, a holy mountain with caves full of light, a pass where the sea and the sky meet at the edge of the road, and an imperial capital that's still excavating its own grandeur. The food costs almost nothing, the tailors can make you anything, and the beaches empty out in ways that most of Southeast Asia forgot decades ago. Subscribe for more destination guides, and I'll see you in the next one.
Subscribe for more. We release new videos every week.